and welcome to the Cycle Starters podcast, where we explore the powerful stories of people breaking generational patterns and starting new cycles in their lineages. I'm your host, Heather Rebecca Wilson, and today I'm thrilled to welcome Candice Maskell, an empowerment and leadership coach who's dedicated her life to helping ambitious women reconnect with their authentic selves. With over 2 decades of experience in leadership and brand marketing for major companies like MTV, Disney, and Samsung, Candice now guides entrepreneurs, creatives, executives, and working mothers to reclaim their self-worth and create success that truly resonates with their souls. In this episode, we'll dive deep into Candice's ancestral healing journey, explore the generational patterns she's breaking, and discuss how she's creating new cycles for future generations. We'll also learn about her approach to confidence as a skill and how failure can be transformed into fuel for growth. So get comfortable, grab your favorite drink, and join us for this inspiring conversation about ancestral healing, personal transformation, and the courage to live authentically. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share to support the channel and our growing community of cycle starters. Hi, Candice. Welcome.
Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for having me. I'm truly honored to be a part of today's conversation. This is exciting.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for saying yes to this opportunity. I'm so excited to be in dialogue with you. How are you doing today?
I'm fabulous. Just listening to this intro just got me really excited to just be here and show up for as many women as possible. So I'm super excited to share my story.
My goodness. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for being here. I'm really excited. So why don't we just dive into it? So what do you feel comfortable sharing with us about your ancestors and your ancestry?
Well, I was born a Jew. I'm a Sephardic and Ashkenaz. My mother's side of the family comes from Poland and Russia, and my dad's side of the family was Greek and Turkish. So there's a lot of love and a lot of passion and a lot of grit and a lot of tumultuous, unprocessed things that I've inherited from both sides of the family that I just realized recently. So I'm excited to get into this with you since you know so much about ancestral healing.
Yes. Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Well, so now I want to ask you, when did this concept of ancestral healing enter your consciousness? When did you realize generational patterns can be passed down? And also, I have the power to alchemize them, right? I have the power to start new cycles.
So, it's so interesting because it wasn't until I was much later in life. I realized that I was inheriting things right at the time when I was losing my mom, my best friend, my soulmate. My mom got very sick in my late 40s. And at that time, I was pregnant and I was having my baby at 46. I realized that really was the catalyst for what cracked me open. And I realized that I wasn't just parenting my daughter, I was also about to reparent myself. And I've been on that journey since. My daughter's now 7, and I've been here without my mom. And I was raised as only child. And then I found out later in life, and just about after a year after, that I have an amazing brother. So there's a huge gift in that. But between birth and 40 6, I thought I was an only child. And so I was reparenting myself and I was trying to figure out sort of where I was and what all these emotions were. And I also inherited the home that I grew up in. And that came with a slew of other things that I started to notice once it became our house, were passed on. And it's kind of fascinating. And some of it makes me giggle and some of it I've been cracking through it ever since. And I feel really good about owning all the things that I've inherited and blessing them and being so grateful for all of the lessons and triumphs and things that my ancestors have gone through. But I also am very committed to processing, understanding, healing them, and starting anew with my family and my daughter and the lineage that continues past her. It's like a,
Beautiful. Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you
Thanks
for
for
sharing that.
asking and
Of
letting me be
course.
seen.
Girl. No, this is important. People need to hear this. Like I told you before, I think that so many people will feel seen by your story. Speaking of that, I want to hear more about how you transitioned from, the corporate world, working in entertainment, to coaching and really supporting and empowering women leaders. Tell us more about that.
Well, my path to get here was not linear and it was a long and winding road. I'm super proud about all the work that I did in entertainment and tech and media. And I had a really long, beautiful, flourishing, growing career for about 20 years at the intersection of entertainment and media and music. It was interesting. From the outside looking in, it looked like I had it all together and I had built this incredible life. And on the inside, I was asking myself, like, is this really it? I felt there was a part of me that wasn't allowed to be authentic. It was me not being authentic. And I didn't understand it until I do now. But my journey in corporate was rewarding and looked amazing. But on the inside, it wasn't feeding me. And at about, let's call it 13 or 14 years ago, I had dreams of having a family. It didn't feel like the environment I was working at the time was not collaborative. It didn't motivate in the ways that were really feeding my soul. And I decided that it was time to walk away from that. I was at an agency and it wasn't good for my soul. So I took a step back and I took some time off and I worked on listening to myself. I had mindfulness. I took a yoga teacher's training because I'd always really been interested in like fueling my practice. And that was really the only thing that was getting me through understanding my internal voice and listening to my voice. And during that time, um, I started meditating and also trying to get pregnant. And so I was at this time where I was like sort of removing myself from this tumultuous landscape environment that I was in. And at the same time, tuning in to what was going on internally so I could create from there. And I started hearing voices, believe it or not, and they kept saying wellness. It was very loud and clear. I had to take a mental health break during this time. I had a miscarriage. And I took some time off to really just nurture myself and, you know, heal. And I started meditating and sitting in the window of my beautiful apartment in the stained glass window. The light came through and it's all I heard was wellness, wellness, wellness. And when I woke up from that, I was like, okay. And the same thing happened to me the next day. And for the next 10 days, I started to really focus in on that. And before I went back to work, I thought to myself, you know what? I know what I need to do. I think it's time that I transition. And so that was the beginning of a journey for me. And it was really about survival and resilience and patterns and people pleasing and self sacrifice and all the things that I sort of had done to quiet those voices. And once they started coming and I started hearing them, there was no stopping them. And that was the beginning of my awareness that I was put on this earth to do more than just create someone else's brand and bring people together. I always say this, but instead of just being about the business, I'm so much about the people. And that's how I found it. I started doing much more heart-led work and much more work that was purposeful and really intentional. And that was the beginning. And I have plenty much more to say about it. But that was where I started and that's where I found really my gift is through the pain.
My goodness. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that you had been through the miscarriage experience. I think so many women suffer in silence, when they experience that. So I just really appreciate you sharing your story and sharing
Yeah.
all of it. And I'm so sorry that you went through that. And I'm also so happy that you have this beautiful daughter who loves you, that you love, and I know is a big inspiration um to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, thank you. I wasn't planning on sharing that part of the story, but that's really the truth. In the most down and out part of my life is where I found the most joy. And if it wasn't for that experience, I wouldn't have the life and the beautiful daughter and the family and the passion that has been awakened in me. So it's really was a gift. And I've healed up that part of me. And I knew that the baby that I was meant to have is Chloe and she's my
Yeah.
girl. And that was a journey as well. And I learned so much. I mean, it took me 5 years to have a baby after that. When going back to why I do what I do, it really is because I found my voice and I realized that I had given it away for so
Mm,
long. And I don't want my daughter or any other person, woman, entrepreneur, anyone to feel that way. And it's so easy to do in this world that we live in and to get so caught up in the how we should be or what we should say or what we shouldn't share. And I've always been really hard on my sleeve, open heart, open book woman.
mhm.
And it didn't feel like there was room for it in this career or identity that I had come to. And I completely thought I was successful, but I feel so much more in my power and in my success now that I am able to express myself and be super authentic and be an example for other women in business and for other working moms. That really, I think it's so important that we lead with love and bravery and honesty, and we're vulnerable in the workplace and we call it and we name it when something's bothering us or when we don't feel like we can truly share how we're feeling. I think that there's place for that in this world, and I think that the world's ready for it. So I'm just happy to be talking about it right now.
Yes, yes. Well, thank God for you. And thank you for saying yes to doing the work that you're doing in the world and shining your light in the world. I want to go a little bit deeper now with your ancestral healing journey. So, can you share with us what are the cycles that you feel like you're breaking? The patterns that you're transmuting in this lifetime.
So I think first I'll just name the patterns that I think I've inherited.
Yeah.
And those patterns are limiting beliefs and self abandonment. And also lies. I think I told you this when we first met. There was a lot of stories and tales that nobody shared behind closed
Mhm.
doors in my family. I didn't even know about them. I mean, truly, if I'm telling you, like it's wild. So I feel like I'm breaking through of limiting beliefs and self abandonment, really. And the idea that you must hustle to prove yourself or that in order to continuously hustle, that's the only time you're worthy. I spent so many times pleasing and pushing and basically losing myself in the process that when I became a mother on my own, I just realized that I just wanted to be an example for my daughter to show her like what my mom told me every day, which is you are worthy. My mom told me that every day is your birthday. She celebrated me. She was amazing. She's still here. You can do anything you set your mind to. And it's so interesting because so much before I sort of came out and had this like, okay, this is who I am and shared with the world that I really believe in the power of self-worth. And I think it's my superpower.
Mhm.
That's a big statement. I kind of went behind closed doors and then freaked out about it. And the imposter syndrome showed up and the second guessing showed up and the anxiety heightened to, I mean, beyond. And this all happened after my mom passed. And so I realized these are the gifts she gave me. And then when she wasn't around to remind me every day, I went into the questioning, which is supernatural. I mean, we all have that ability to question ourselves, and I still do it to this day, but I still am able to remind myself. It's almost like there's two voices in my head. I have a bully living inside of me, and she's mean and nasty. But I also came from an incredible mom who gave me a credible sense of self worth, and I feel passionate about passing that on to everyone around me.
Awesome. I love that. All right. Well, so let's see. I think I want to steer the conversation towards a little bit of astrology because I've told you that I am an Astro Ancestral Healing Guide and I have this monthly membership called the Astro Ancestral Healing Collective. And it's a sacred space for female bodied cycle breakers, cycle starters to alchemize ancestral patterns into embodied joy, creative potential, shifts to higher consciousness, and even spiritual gifts using pleasure and astrology as transformative medicine. So, I
Woo!
love astrology. I don't live and die by it, but the way I relate to it is I feel like it's a very empowering framework and a language
Great.
for understanding yourself as an energetic being on an ancestral healing journey. So, if you wouldn't mind sharing your sun, moon, and rising sign, I would love to hear. And I know our community is super interested too.
Absolutely. I'm laughing because I thought I was a different moon when I first spoke to you. This is so funny. Okay. So drum roll, please. I'm a Capricorn sun and I
Mhm.
love and I own it. I am a Cancer moon, which makes
There you
perfect
go.
sense, which
Yeah.
makes really a lot of sense. And I'm an Aquarius rising.
Okay.
Yeah, give me all the goods. But I've ascertained that I am grounded and emotionally deep and always envisioning the future, which is pretty much me in a nutshell. But I'm laughing because I thought I was a Virgo moon and I'm not. So
But it
tell me
makes
what this
sense. It
means.
makes sense that you're a Cancer moon because you have such a beautiful connection to your mom who's in the non-physical. The moon is your emotions, your emotional core, it's your emotional inheritance. So it does speak to your ancestral wounds, but also the gifts that your ancestors have given you. And Cancer is the mother, right? Cancer is cardinal water, and water is our emotions, our feelings, our sentiments. And so when
That
we
makes
have
sense.
any element in a cardinal modality, it's the initiating thrust of that element. So it's very, very powerful water, very powerful emotions. So you are very psychic, very intuitive. All the water signs are. And Cancer, like I said, is very much associated with that mother energy,
Mhm.
that nurturing energy. I like to think of Cancer as the emotional archivist of the family. They love hosting family at their house. They really care about family heirlooms. It's a lot of love. It's a lot of hugs and it's bringing people together.
Makes sense.
Does that resonate for you?
100% absolutely does. And I also, from what I know about Cancer, because one of my best friends is a Cancer, and I also know they're highly feeling individuals, right? And that makes a lot of sense for how I've sort of gone through the world. And even when I was telling you about my challenge in corporate, feeling like I couldn't feel and be in, so I was just feeling my way through things.
Right.
But now I know it's a gift. And now I see it as a superpower, as being able to feel, especially when things get rough. And I also feel for other people, which is why I love coaching so much because
Yeah.
I can see people's greatness and I also can see where the love is and I help them find it. So it makes me happy. I thought it was Virgo and I'm giggling, but that makes sense too. There's got to be something else in my chart.
Well, we have all the signs in our chart, so I'll have to look at your chart and get the whole lay of the land and see where all of your planets are because you probably have some planets in Virgo. That's
Probably.
I think so, just because you were intuitively drawn there. So we'll have to look at your chart. But
Okay.
this Cancer moon is interesting to me because, Cancer is associated with the crab, and you know how the crab moves sideways, and the crab has to molt, right? When it outgrows its shell, it needs to go and hide between some rocks
Hmm.
and be alone and protected so that they can shed this skin because they're soft. They need some time to develop that hard shell again before they go out in public. And also what I know about this energy is that you have cycles, right? You have your own cycles that you need to go through. And so I'm curious, how do you tend to yourself? How do you tend to your emotional life with this Cancer moon? Because I've heard other folks with a Cancer moon say that when they have to process emotions, they have to go and be by
Hmm.
themselves because otherwise, if they're processing with other people, they're feeling everybody else's stuff and not necessarily
Hmm.
feeling their own. So, like, how does that land for you?
Well, it's very true that I need to go inward at times. I tend to think of myself as an introverted extrovert, and so many people that know me, I'm so big and full of life, but honestly, I also need my me time and my quiet time. I always thought that was because I was raised in an only child, but I definitely need to go and withdraw, and I do it regularly, and if I don't, I get super cranky and tired and I get sick a lot. My self-care practice is like priority. And I do a lot of that, like weave it into my day because I'm a mom, right? And I have a 7-year-old. So like where am I getting this time? But I definitely do it with my mindfulness practice in the morning. I mean, I wake up and I meditate the minute I wake up. I also throughout the day, I check in with myself. I take lots of breaks. Sometimes I take an afternoon rest. Every night I take a bath.
Ooh.
So that's so interesting. I need to be in hot water and that's so funny because I'm a crab and I had no idea, but I am. I'm very much in so I need to be warm water is the most soothing. And I also love to sweat. So I get in my sauna blanket a lot. Higher dose. But I need to be in heat and warm, sweating or cocooning. And I also do a lot of guided meditations and
Hmm.
journaling that really helps me. And the other way that I sort of go inward and think is when I'm listening to other things. I listen to a ton of podcasts. And I love to just sort of zone out and sort of think and leave time after that to just think while I'm, let's say, cleaning or while I'm sitting there journaling or whatever it is. On the times that I have to myself, I savor that with going inward. And sometimes just thinking and hearing someone else talk helps me connect, interestingly enough. It helps me quiet myself.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you for sharing all of that because I think the other Cancer moons out there will really benefit from hearing how you take care of yourself. You're the second Cancer moon who has said, like, I love to sweat,
I love
right?
to sweat.
Like,
I got to get
right?
on
It's
my
like,
mat. I
it's
forgot.
really
I didn't even
important for you.
I forgot mentioning getting on my yoga mat. Hello. I mean, literally, my vinyasa practice is my saving grace. It's why I'm here today. It's how I found my way to myself. It was the
Mm,
only way to quiet my mind is going through the motions and understanding that it wasn't just about poses as much as it was about getting out of my own mind. My mind is so active. So I need to sweat and I need to get on my mat. And I also love me some hot yoga. Let's be honest. That's
yeah.
my happy place.
Nice, nice. All right. Well, so I want to talk a little bit about the shadow side, the lower
Yes.
expression of Cancer, because
Sure.
each sign is a spectrum of psychospiritual energy with a high expression and a low expression. And I've talked a lot about the high expression of Cancer, which is super loving, nurturing, family oriented, very psychic, very intuitive. The lower expressions would be like if you think of that Cancer claw, once they lock on to something, they have a hard time letting go of things,
Mhm.
whether
Mhm.
that's like a grudge or, somebody crossed them or hurt them, right? Because Cancer is very sensitive and they can't let it go. Or there's this thing where you love so hard, you love so much that you almost have these blinders on where you're not seeing the whole picture and you can end up being biased because you love this person or you love this idea so deeply. Have those lower expressions appeared in your life, and if so, how have you transmuted them?
So, yeah, I mean, I can absolutely fixate on something. And how do I transmute it? It's funny because when I fixate on things, it's usually my Capricorn side fixating on it because it's always so focused. I'm really so focused on the goals.
Yeah.
And it's actually not a bad thing, but
Mhm.
the bad part about being so focused on the goal is that I miss the presence and I miss the
Mhm.
present moment. And I do that a lot. I constantly, thank goodness, have a husband that is so present, especially in parenting, that I'm reminded, and my daughter, put the phone down, be here in the room. I fixate on so much the focus of something that I miss the presence, which is fascinating considering that I teach mindfulness. But it's also a contradiction, which I think I get being a Capricorn, right? Is that I'm both things. So yeah, how do I do that? Is it's a daily practice for me, and I'm used to this daily practice and this constantly recommitting of things because I've constantly been evolving and changing my relationship with myself and with my body and with my food when I was a kid. I constantly had to train myself to start again, to have grace, to realize it's progress, not perfection. So I'm constantly reminding myself of being present. And I sometimes have to schedule it, to be honest with you. No phone, turn it off after this time. I have to live on a schedule and not be as fluid because I like to be fluid. And if I don't schedule in the things that really matter, like not focusing on a goal or not working and finishing the thing and it could be there tomorrow. Like if I don't schedule in just the time to be, it won't happen. If that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I'm very much into time management. I have to make time to be creative. I have to make time to relax. I have to make time to rest. These are really important things that I work with my clients on. And the reason they're so important is because they're important to me. And I know how they're non-negotiables.
Well, this, I think, in a way speaks to your Capricorn sun. So, Capricorn is an earth sign. So, it's a totally different energy than Cancer, though Capricorn is cardinal. It is cardinal earth. So, it's that very strong earth energy, and earth is what we use to build the structures that give us stability and security in our lives. And so the archetypal energy that I associate with Capricorn is that of the worker bee, right? The high
Mhm,
achiever, the mountain goat that climbs
mhm,
the highest heights. But Capricorn is a feminine sign. It's a feminine earth sign. It's
mm,
a mountain goat from the waist up, and it has a fishtail from the waist down, meaning that Capricorn has an emotional side. And if you don't schedule the breaks, time with trusted friends to process your emotions, or vacations, or whatever, your naps, your time on the yoga mat, you're actually prone to burnout because your
mhm,
default is work, right? Because you
percent.
enjoy work, like, you're good
Mhm,
at it, right? Your ability to execute tasks, to execute a project, nobody beats you in that realm. So I love hearing that you have learned to schedule the time to take care of yourself.
thank
That's
you.
so essential.
I mean, thank you, and thank you for helping me understand myself more through it. Yeah, it's a non-negotiable now, because so much of who I am now and so much of how I define success now is so completely different than what I accomplish and how many things I can do to check things off the list. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping other women find their true meaning of success, because I am that Capricorn woman that had the job, had the bank account, I had the staff. It looked great and it didn't feel good. So now, truly, my essence is going through the world being me and being authentically me. And that's really what I think our ability to lead from a space like that, you can do anything you want to do. You can be anyone you want to be, as long as you have made space to understand yourself and hear yourself. And I will never hear those voices if I'm cranking and I'm not scheduling things in. And I will just go to the end of time. And I get sick a couple times a year because of it. I really do feel like, even if you're not a Capricorn, you just think that you're measuring yourself against the list and you're pushing yourself that hard and you're not allowing yourself time to be the feminine, which, thank you for pointing that out. And I'm actually really happy to hear that Capricorn is a feminine sign, because
Yeah.
I feel sometimes so masculine. I feel so
Mhm.
alpha because I just go after it.
Mhm.
But I also, what goes after it now more is also my heart. And I also learned, and especially through the fertility journey, and also this like redefining of my identity and my career, receiving is more important than anything. So allowing and receiving, and I will also forget that, as much as I know that, if I don't schedule all those things in. So thank you for asking that question. I think it's so important for people to know that we need to take the time for ourselves and also our nervous system, please.
Oh my
We didn't even
gosh.
mention the nervous system, but yeah, the
Seriously.
nervous system is not in charge. We are one, and it is a messenger, an important one. We have to tend to
Well,
it.
completely, 100%. I mean, I think, the lower expression of Capricorn is workaholism, or
Mhm,
working just for status,
mhm,
working just for money, and being kind of cold and detached. And the highest expression of Capricorn is using that worker bee energy in the service of something bigger than yourself. And I feel like you're doing that. And also, the moon piece is so important, because one thing that I invite myself into, but also all of my clients, is you have to do your moon, which means you are responsible for giving yourself what you need to feel at home and centered and safe in your own energy. And so I think you hit a wall in your old career, right? Because, like, you weren't able to do your moon in that life, if that makes sense. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? Like, fully
mhm.
express, like, how loving and how caring and how people oriented you really are. So, yeah, I love
That's so
astrology so
interesting.
much.
Wait,
It's so
I'm
interesting.
learning so much from this. It's making even more sense. It felt like
Nice.
it made sense before I even told you my why. Why did I find coaching? But now it makes even more sense that I
Yeah.
couldn't truly be both parts of me. I couldn't be my sun and my moon.
Yeah.
And I wasn't living in that space. I didn't feel authentic. And I have to be me. There's just like no way around it. And it's taken many years to figure that out. But I hope other women can be listening to this and it helps their journey too, because we all have to go through it, and it's not linear.
No, not at all. Healing is not linear. And you said something that is making me think now that we haven't discussed your Aquarius rising, because Aquarian energy is all about being your authentic self. Aquarius is the visionary. They want to be avant garde. They want to do things their way. They're the rebel. They're the genius. Don't try and tell them what to do. They have to be who they are. So I think it's the combination of all those things, right? I can't be myself in this situation and I got to go. It just wasn't
Seriously.
working for you. You don't want to
The-
conform. That's
oh,
the worst thing for Aquarius. They're like, get me the hell out of here.
that's so interesting. I didn't know that about Aquarius. I just know that I feel exactly as you said, and that is exactly my life. I just couldn't conform. So thank you. I thought we were dreamers and yeah, visionaries, as you say. And I'm constantly thinking about all the things, but also manifestors. I'm sure that's part of being an Aquarian, right? I would assume.
Aquarius is fixed air. So you have earth and water and air in your big three, which is awesome because that means you're very balanced. So
Mm.
air is our thoughts, our consciousness, our beliefs, our communication. And, when I tune into this energy of Aquarius, it's like deep space. Aquarius can be out there. They're thinking far into the future. And so sometimes I have to coach my clients around who have a strong Aquarian presence. My midheaven is actually in Aquarius. That's what I'm known for in the public, is just doing my own thing. Is that you have to remember to make your visions accessible to other
Accessible to
people
brother. Yeah.
who are not as visionary as you, right? Ground them in something that other people can relate to. But yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. I think Aquarians are dreamers. They are humanitarians. They care very much about humanity, but also they care about being your individual self. Each individual needs to express their unique self. And the reason why the collective is so beautiful is because if you think of it as a tapestry, it's woven with the threads of all these beautiful individuals being their unique selves. Aquarius has the ability to see into the future and create new worlds. So I absolutely think that manifesting is something that Aquarians can
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
But the thing is, Aquarius can be cold. That's like a lower expression of
Okay.
Aquarius, like completely detached. It's so funny. Aquarius can love humanity but hate humans. I love the collective of humanity, but these people, this one person,
Oh,
I
so
can't
fun.
stand. So
That's
it's an
funny.
interesting energy, but it's
That's
very
funny.
futuristic.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So I'm definitely focused on the future a lot, but I can see how I don't relate to the lower parts. I don't relate to the cold parts. So
You're
I guess
so
my Capricorn.
Cancer. You're
Yeah,
so
Cancer and
Cancer.
Cappy. And
Yeah.
Cappy. Yeah, that's good. Okay. All right, that's good. I feel good. Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, I love this. I find astrology so fascinating, but
So do
also
I.
so empowering because you get to learn about yourself. I feel like it allows us to develop like more self-compassion, more
Mhm.
self-acceptance. Because before I got deep into astrology, I had like a bias against Geminis. I was like, Geminis are so scattered and all over the place and, gossipy and two faced and blah, blah, blah. Those are all the bad stories about Gemini. And then, of course, I get into astrology and I'm like, I'm a Gemini rising. Wow. Okay. And so I had to own all of these shadow parts of myself. But not everything in the shadow is bad, right? You can
Right.
have good parts of ourselves in the shadow. And so
Mhm.
it just
Absolutely.
forced me to really love myself on a deeper level, but also look at like, oh yeah, those qualities that I was complaining about when I was younger, I definitely exhibited those tendencies and those qualities. But I also got the chance to own that I'm a great communicator. I'm curious. I
Mhm.
am a
Mhm.
quick study. I am a flexible learner. I love to learn. So Geminis love to have fun.
Mhm.
It was really, really cool actually to discover that I was a Gemini rising. And in case I didn't say this before, your rising sign, it changes like every 1 to 2 hours, so that's why we ask for your birth time.
Oh.
And your rising sign is the vehicle for your divine mission. It's the qualities that people pick up on when they first meet you. So the sun is how you see yourself. It's where you shine. It's the special sauce that you mix into everything that you do. But your rising sign is how people really experience you, and it's your perception of reality. It's the lens that you see everything through. Yeah, I'm air. I don't have any water in my big three. I'm like earth, fire, and air. And you're water, earth,
Earth.
and air.
I could
Thank
use some.
you. You probably have fire in your chart.
I,
We'll have to look at your chart. So everybody has all of the signs in their chart, but if you have a collection of planets in one sign or one house, it just means that like that's going to be an area of concentration for you in your life. So, yeah, I'll have to look at your
okay.
chart at some
Yeah, I'd
point.
love you to. That'd be
Thank you for sharing that with our community. I just feel like this is so helpful.
absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's super fun. Well, so now I want to ask you, what are you working on now that you're excited about that you can share with us, with our listeners and our viewers?
Happy to. Well, I'm currently very focused on coaching ambitious women and entrepreneurs, leaders, creatives, working mamas who feel trapped in their own success. Your life looks good on paper, but your soul is craving more.
Mhm.
And I help you find your way back to yourself and your voice and your self worth and your confidence. And that looks different for everybody. So some women need to work on managing their state of mind. Some people need to work on their story. They're living in the past or they're living in a story that's not suiting them. So we work on that, or we find strategies to help them unblock and get from where they are to where they want to be. So I'm super passionate about that. I'm also relaunching my workshop. It's called Love You More, and
Mhm.
it's focused on unlocking the superpower of self worth and how to lead without losing yourself. And so, my mission is to help women create success on their terms with heart and with intuition and without burnout. So, every once in a while, I throw this workshop up as a freebie just to get people working on some tools and give them some free resources. And that'll be coming soon. You'll be able to find that on my website and my newsletter and Instagram and all of that.
Okay, fantastic. I love it. All right. Well, so there is one question that I ask all of my guests on the Cycle Starters podcast, and that is, what are the new cycles that you are starting in your lineage?
Well, I'm breaking cycles of perfectionism, pleasing, and survival mode. And I want my daughter to grow up knowing she's worthy. And it's not based on her achievement, but simply because she is, and living in authenticity. And I want future generations to never question their worth, their voice, or their place in the world. So I'm starting those cycles.
Beautiful. I love that. Amazing. All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, so if people want to learn more about you, where should they go to find out more? I know you mentioned that you're on Instagram and you have a website.
CandiceMaskell.com, or on Instagram, I'm Candice Maskell _ or LinkedIn, just search for Candice Maskell. And yeah, I currently have some spots available in my program. I open a few up every 3 months. And if I should be happy isn't cutting it, I'd love to hear from you.
Amazing. And also, Candice, I want you to teach a workshop in the Ancestral Healing
Yes, I
Collective
would
in
love to do that.
2026.
Absolutely. Count
Yeah.
me in. Yes,
Yeah.
here to serve. Thank you for
Amazing.
asking.
Of course. No, I think that would be wonderful. And we can talk more about that offline. But this has been a lovely conversation. Thank you so much for saying yes to spending some time with me and our community. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Heather. I'm
Of
thrilled to be of
course.
service, and I hope my story inspires some other women to live in their authenticity and their power, because we got to do that in 2025 and beyond together. Got to break those cycles
Amen.
together.
Amen, sis. You are an inspiration, and I think your story resonates with so many people. So this has been fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Well, everybody, thank you for being here. We will see you next time on the Cycle Starters podcast. Bye.
Bye.